Good morning, Scorpio. I hope everybody is doing well and fantastic. It has been a minute since I've gotten some videos out for you guys, all the signs. I just got a video up the other day, just kind of going, hey, this is what's been going on. A short collective message. Taurus went out the other day as well. So I'm going to try to chuck through the signs within reason, trying to find that work-life balance as I'm back to doing things that I have missed doing for the past month. Scorpio, this is going to be a reading for the movement of coming out of the Taurus and Scorpio North and South node, moving into Aries and Libra, and what that has meant for you and what things are looking like moving forward. Pardon me, as I'm in my Sunday best, no makeup, hair's not done, chilling out. My opinion of it has always been let people see the way you really live, and if they stick around, they're meant for you. So good old Scorpio, no shits to give attitude, right? So, Scorps, I will say this to you as I was doing some brief meditating prior to opening up the video. Spirit said, all good things lie ahead. They won't be without challenges, but all good things lie ahead. It's almost like you've passed a test. It's almost like you've come full circle. We're closing out this cycle. This has been about our karma. This is about closing things out. I know for me personally, I'm a Scorpio, and my North and my South node sit in Taurus and Scorpio. So for me personally, it's been a hell of an 18 months that we've been under. But your transformation through this, significant. And I think a lot of the times too, I'm really able to resonate so much better with Scorpio in general, simply because I am a Scorpio, because it's what I do, right? It's who I am as a person. So, there's so many moving areas to that. So, it's very important to understand what this last cycle brought in for us, what it was supposed to have done for us. Did we do the work we were supposed to do on a soul level, and where we go from here? So, with that, if you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that like button. That helps to circulate the videos and get those messages out to others who need to hear them as well. I would say particularly your sun, your moon, your rising, but definitely looking at your sun and your rising with this video is primarily where it seems the North and South seem to sit and have the biggest impact. Cross watcher, if you're checking out for a Scorpio, what's been going on with them? Welcome to the channel. So for those of you returning, welcome back. For those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. I appreciate each and every single one of you who decide to join me here on the channel. So with that, Scorpio, let's dive into what this North and South node has meant for you, where it was you were, where you are, and where it is that you are heading moving forward, okay? So Scorps, let's see what's happening. Scorpio, North, South node, please Spirit, what is this meant for you? Spirit just said time and eternity. So, for some of you, this could have just been, it felt like this last 18 months really took forever. Like it was slow moving, and yet it wasn't. It just kept going. Thinking maybe that things would never stop, things would never change, things would just continue to be where they are, or where they were, I should say. So, I enjoy pulling the cards and stuff, but most of my messages, despite what falls on the table, come through intuitively, and that's kind of what I roll with, whatever Spirit gives me, because cards are cards, it's whatever. They're great tools, but not the only thing. We've got the smoky mirror and the ghost dance. This was really particularly about your shadow side, Scorpio. And I'm going to say that I'm also going to call it a lot of illusions around you. So you could have been dealing with people who were lying, cheating, stealing, manipulating. This includes, and Spirit just said, friend circles. This could be relationships. This can be jobs. This can be a wide variety of different aspects in your life as to how those things came in. And I think through that, you were trying to find your peace. You were trying to find your balance. 11 and then 22. So 111 could be very important for you at this time as well. You could be seeing that number, and remember that 11, 11, 111, those are your guides, those are your spirits, those are your angels, your ancestors that are walking through these challenges and these cycles with you, that you are protected. You are divinely protected and guided through this transformation. I also feel like for you guys too, with that ghost dance, it's as if You have left a part of yourself behind. You know, you think of Scorpio, it's that transformation and that death. You think about a snake shedding its skin. I can tell you synchronistically for myself, snakes. I've seen so many snakes the past couple weeks. It's been crazy. But they are a reminder to us, right, of that transformation, how that wheel spins, how things change, how we are no longer a part of what we used to be. You know, and with that, I feel like you have stepped outside. It's almost like you left the smoke, the mirrors, the darkness. It's like you're stepping into a whole new light. And Scorpio, you know, you guys, you dive into pain, right? Like that's where we sit. We are so disgustingly comfortable with that pain that stepping into the light of the trials and the tribulations that you have fought through are now opening you up to like the sunshine, where you feel good. You're starting to find this new balance within yourself, taking a look around the world, you know, being much more discerning about the company that you keep, Spirit is giving me. And thank you, Spirit, for that. But it's like that dark, smoky energy, that aura of just carrying the darkness with you. It's like you're leaving that behind is really how I feel about that card. And that's very interesting. And just side note, this is the Shaman's, Mystical Shaman's Oracle deck, by the way. I got it a while ago. I haven't used it too much. I don't read the book definitions to things. And I just really haven't spent a lot of time with this deck. So now felt like a good time, right? All right, Scorpio, let's see. What's happening for Scorpio? What does this mean? Spirit also just gave me the message that if we ever had a chance, this is the way it came through. If we ever had a chance again, I'd still forgive you. So, and I'm going to say with that too, and there was too many cards that popped out in that shuffle. You may have dealt with people or a particular person or situation that maybe, you know, it's like a real struggle to forgive. You may have been sitting in a place, you may still be in a space of learning how to genuinely forgive somebody. But I feel like when you look back upon the past of the situations that you've dealt with and the people, there is a genuine space of compassion in that water energy where you're just like, it's not worth dwelling on. If I ever do see you again, yes, I will offer you forgiveness. So if you wonder if I forgive you, I do forgive you, but also understand, Scorpio, that forgiveness, you know, when we, whether it's you or another person, when we hold on to that pain and the hurt or the betrayal or what our perception is of what somebody else has done, we can forgive them. They could forgive us. But if we sit in that mentality on the other side of that pain, we become prisoners to that, right? So I think you've just chosen to release yourself as, you know, from being a prisoner to the pain and the hurt and the suffering that you may have endured over the 18 months. That, you know, sitting within this, it's almost like you feel, it's almost like you kind of feel empty in a way, but hopeful. Like maybe all of this hurt, the pain, the lessons, you've cleared it, or you are clearing it, right, to start this new cycle. But in the same breath, it feels very odd to you because, again, someone who's used to sitting in the dark steps into the light. It's kind of like vampires, like, oh God, am I gonna melt? You're just learning how to get comfortable with what feels good to you. And it will take you some time. It will. You know, you're learning new habits, right? It's a new way of thinking. Every time we shut down an old way of thinking, or we catch ourselves in the middle of that moment and we start to shut it down, we are restructuring our brain capacity. We are restructuring our DNA. We are restructuring how we see things, how we view things, how we're going to do things, learning how not to react, but rather to respond, right? So, and I think maybe there's a little bit of a push yet for that for you guys as well. I heard something, I don't know if I said it or not, about time, and then comes out the Time Master. 57, which breaks down to a 3. Let's see. You're looking forward, Scorpio. There is no more holding on to the past. Geese, for some of you, may have been very important for a while, too. This is the karmic wheel, right? This is, you look at this wheel behind him on this card. These are absolutely beautiful cards. So if you like to read Oracle or Tarot or whatever, these cards are just, they're phenomenal. The artwork is incredible. But anyhow, but this is the wheel, right? It's going through those phases. It's working through a way, or working your way through this cycle. You know, he's got the infinity symbol on him as well. That is a new cycle. You have completed what you were meant to do during this cycle. You have shifted, you have changed, you have grown. There is no more looking back on the past. You know, and he's got his coat, his feathers, he's protected. Again, you were guided. I got chills, golly. Your ancestors brought you through this phase. They were your protection. And I feel like for some of you, it's almost like you've matured, like you've grown. Maybe you feel withered, you feel tired. I can tell you that in the last 18 months, I didn't have bags under my eyes. Now I got bags under my eyes, right? Like, you know, just to set the standard there as to what I mean by this. But you may feel withered. You may feel like, you know, you look at his face, it's like he walked through a winter storm, right? Like, you ever see those movies where they're like trudging away through the depths of the snow in the Arctic and stuff like that, and their faces are frozen over, and just, you know, it's like that. It's like you've taken every blow that there was, and yet you didn't stop. You didn't let it knock you down. You didn't let it derail you from where it was that you were heading. You just kept going. And now it's almost like I feel like you're thawing out, if that makes sense, if you're following what I'm saying. It's like you're thawing out, you're moving forward. There's nothing to look at but the future. Oh, too many again. Scorpio, Spirit said, don't shut up. So if you have a truth to speak, you've got the Rainmaker, Thunder, and many paths. I'm going to put, and there's that completion card. That snake that I just talked about. Do you see that? Incredible. And I'm going to put these back in again. Too many cards. But with this, I always feel like there's like little side messages. 6, 11, 7. I will say this to you. It's like, Spirit is saying that you make magic happen. And it's like maybe you felt like maybe for the last 18 months that you were subdued. Right? So Scorpio, you bring in the Tower, right? You bring in that energy of transformation. You bring in that energy of change. As much as you are a fixed sign and you may despise change in so many ways, you do it so damn well. Right? And that's kind of like where you're at right now, is like you've got Spirit saying that you want, like, there's the need to roar your voice. So it's speaking your truth. It's stepping into this and understanding that there's many different avenues that this can take you, you know, and stepping into your truth, stepping into who you are. And you may have found yourself stepping into a more, what's the word I'm looking for here? I don't know. You're just stepping into a way of who you are, who you've become through this transformation. So, Scorpio. Okay, there we go. 31 might be an important number to you for the lower world. Again, Scorpio, we talked about then, you know, where you've sat with the darkness. You have faced, you have braved, you have went through the underworld, essentially. The lower world, where you've been willing to sit down and do the depths of the work that needed to be done. And I will say, for those, you know, I think I always see people in the sense of, you know, whether it's your sign or whatever it is, right? There's always the evolved Scorpio or any other sign, and there's always the unevolved, as I call it, Scorpio or other sign. For those of you who've been willing to sit down and do the work on all of these things, and remember, guys, that any progress at all, any little changes you're making is forward movement, right? You're starting to change that karmic wheel. You're closing things out. You had to trudge through this darkness to find the light. You know, in that darkness, there was a lot of beauty to be held. And it was going to be about the perspective that you took looking at it. Were you going to see this as the biggest challenge of your life? Or were you going to see this as, I'm going to work my way through this and then I'm going to figure out what comes next because I'm going to learn along the way? And that's really how that feels to me for you. This lower world is to open you up. It is to sit with the darkness. And it's almost like, it reminds me too of the hermit. So some of you may have kind of gone into recluse mode, and again, not to completely, you know, constantly bring myself up here, but I can relate to this. And as a light worker, I think you need to be able, or a healer, whatever you want to call what we do, You have to be able to empathize. Truly, you don't do the work. I'm gonna go off on a quick tangent here. You cannot be in this position of light worker, healer, whatever, if you have not done the work on yourself. You cannot truly empathize with another person's experience if you've not done the work. So, I see a lot of people, and I'm not knocking anybody, but this is just the cold hard fact, that they do different things spiritually, whether it's tarot or Reiki or, who knows, whatever it might be, right? And they haven't done the work on themselves. They're not operating from a place of light and love, I guess you could say, or from truly working through their own demons. So how can you help another person if you've not done the work on yourself? It's very, very, that always takes, in every avenue of life, there's always the good and the bad, right? Or those who think about things and those who have actually experienced those things. So I think that's very important for you, Scorpio, to understand that if you've done this work, it's almost like you've earned a reward, a badge, good karma, if you want to call it that too. But you've had to walk through these peaks and these troubled times to get to that light, and you've sat with that to get to that light, and you were comfortable sitting in that. So moving into this newfound good, I got that goosebumps again, this newfound goodness that's coming in for you, it seems very foreign to you because it's not something that you've really had a chance to experience in the past. So it opens you up to a whole new way, and it's been about your foundations, your stability. When you think about the opposite of Scorpio, we have Taurus, right? Obviously the north and the south node. Taurus is about that stable foundation. It's slow moving energy. It is about our pentacle. It is about all things that ground us and connect us. It's about the tangible. Scorpio, you're very much about the intangible, right? Or the untangible, where it's all emotionally charged most often. And of course it's going to depend on your different signs and things of that nature as well, and your other placements. But at the same time, you have come to recognize that if you were lacking stability in your life, this is no more. This is no more, because you're looking at it and you're going, whatever the hell I have to do to get to that foundation, that cause of celebration, that need to feel good, I'm going to walk through it and I'm going to do it. And you've done it without any hesitancy. I think you just kind of went into autopilot and just kept trudging forward. So, another 4. A lot of fire energy with that. Scorpio. The ghost dance was on the split when I started to shuffle the cards. There it is again. Transforming that energy, leaving the darkness behind. For 44 may be a significant number to you as well. You have gone through this massive transformation that has changed you for the rest of your life, whether you recognize it now or not, but it has grounded you. You have 2 cards of the earth here. It has grounded you. It has brought you back down to that stable foundation, the spiral. I just said about you changing. What number is it? It's a 5. It is that magnificent change, and you're balancing. Look at this. The things that were hidden to you, not anymore. I'm going to take the bottom 5 here. There's that smoky mirror that I talked about earlier. What do you have with that? The sun, Scorpio. You are stepping into the sun, and you're closing out this cycle in a very radiant way. People are drawn to you for what you do and how you do the things that you do. You're showing them what it is a new phase can look like in life. You are the example. And again, massive chills. Those are always, chills and sneezes are my confirmations from Spirit. So thank you, Spirit. The sun and the moon. Those 2 work perfect together. They are the balancing energies of the dark and the light. You have found the dark and the light. You have made your way through that smoke and that illusion to find yourself through this 18 months. You've been willing to dance with the darkness. And I think that for you, a lot of times, though, the emotions behind that Maybe you hid those, you didn't share those with other people, going into that recluse mode that I picked up, like on hermit kind of energy. Finding the reasons to defend your emotions, why you felt the way that you did, why you feel the way that you do, why you feel the way you will moving forward, right? That spiral is that change. That you've changed the way you emotionally respond to people. That you're recognizing if it's not worth your time, energy, and effort, you're not going to give to it anymore. If it pulls you down, you're letting it go. If it lifts you up, you're willing to invest into it. Spirit just said you've been cleansed and cleared. A lot of you, I get this feeling, this urge of tears right now. So to me, that is, you know, a lot of you may have felt the need to cry, or you have cried, or you're recognizing that it's okay to be emotionally open again. I feel like for a long time you had to shut that down. Because you're dealing with people, right? You're dealing with situations that brought a lot of pain, a lot of heartbreak. And I'm going to say this to you, Scorpio, that I think people may have had a perception of who you were. It's almost like mistaking your kindness for weakness kind of thing. They had this perception of you that was you would just kind of play by the rules if you had to. This new part of you that is transformed from this Taurus, Scorpio, North and South node, I don't think people are going to know what to make of you moving forward. They kind of held you at a perception of you weren't capable. Maybe they've underestimated you, thought that they could pull one over on you, that kind of energy. But with this change, this spiral, this completion that's happening for you, not anymore. Not anymore. And I don't think that you're doing it maliciously. I think you're doing it from a place of you're cutting people off at the knees, per se, to protect your peace moving forward. It's not a bad thing, right? Like, you're a human being, but it's not coming from a place of fear. Put it that way. Like, it's like you've let go of the fear that was associated with, well, what if I let this person go and they're out of my life? I can't imagine this particular portion of my life without them. That's how that feels to me. 222 or 2222 on the timer. But it's like you're not holding on to a fear of what other people think, how they see you, how their perception of you exists. It's just simply, I'm doing things my way, and if your perception of me has been incorrect, that's on you. But I'm going to shine through. You're going up the spiral rather than coming down it. You're not letting things pull you back anymore. And that's a great place to be in, Scorpio. I love that for you. All right, let's see what else comes out. A lot of messages from those few cards. I love that. All right, for the sign of Scorpio, the collective peace shift. Blue, the color blue. Messages forbidden. I do feel like you're cutting off communication, or you've already cut off communication with I don't want to say random people, but various people. It's like we're not going there anymore. You know, it's a cutoff. You've learned to cut things out of your life during this, Scorpio, that again, it's you don't want to invest time, energy, and attention into things that are going to shortchange you in the long run. And I think that's been a large part of the cycle for you, is learning not to allow those things to happen. You got this vision card, 8. You know, that is the, to me, that is, you know, you talk about that perception for one, right? I'm getting a couple messages with this. They see you kind of as broken down. So whether life had just beat your ass, which I'm sure it has, Scorpio, we come into this with this soul growth lesson, and it whoops our asses. But it's like the way that they perceived you, it was broken. They did a lot of taking from you. That fragment card, it's a 6. A lot of taking. And it's just like, I almost feel like you think about it, when you look out in the wilderness, like a pack of wolves, we call them that, right? Let's say they attack a deer. And they do it in gangs, right? They do it in these groups. One finds you or finds that deer, and then it's kind of like they all kind of hone in on that, right? Like it's like a gang of just, you know, we're gonna eat you alive. That's kind of how that feels. And with this fragment, it's like you're transcending that. It's like you're pulling yourself up out of that, the middle of it. It's almost like your soul, like your physical body may have been in that. Your 3D world may have been in that. But that soul growth that you've worked on and worked so hard for the past 18 months, you're transcending those things. And it doesn't make you better. You know, I think there's a little bit of misunderstanding to the fact that, like, it's not that you become better than other people. It's never that you're better than anybody else. We're all in the same existence, right? But it's more so that you understand things differently. You're no longer attached to the 3D conditioning of who you're supposed to be, and there's this fight of greed and you know, anger and resentments and jealousy. Like you have moved above that. You see it for what it is. The illusions are gone. Your vision is clear, and you're starting to operate from a place of nothing but compassionate love. Very, very different energy than I think you've dealt with in the past. And it's not a bad thing, right? It's obviously a very good thing to be in that. You're operating, that you're able to empathize and see. And we talk about, you know, I had my little tangent earlier, and thank you for listening. But it opens you up to empathize with another's experience because you've done the work. If you haven't done the work, you can't. I don't care what people say. I'll call them out every time on it. You can't do it. You have to be willing to put the work into yourself, because the reality to this is, you know, not everybody is going to have the same exact experience as another. But the difference to that is this: the emotion that it invokes within us, the thoughts, the feelings, are always going to be the same. Somebody could have lost their dog, right? Had their dog for 18 years and they lost their pet. And I could have lost a memento, I guess you could say, of something that belonged to an ancestor. And that would have broken my heart because it meant something to me. Our actual experience is very different, but we both feel that loss. So it's not that you have to go through the same exact thing, but you have to have the emotional intelligence to be able to empathize with another person. And with this Aphrodite, she is love, right? She's coming through and understanding where people are operating from, what emotions and why. And you're becoming very clear on your emotions. You're becoming clear when you that intuitive Scorpio within you is lighting up the way and going, I see why this person behaves the way they do. I see why they feel the way they feel. And if you're a light worker, and I think a lot of you out there are, you're giving back, you're doing, right? You're supporting your communities, your friends, your family, trying to help them grow. Don't do it to your own detriment, because we are infamous for that, Scorpio. But when you're doing that, you're able to help other people. You're coming at it from a different place than you've come at it from before. It's very different. Very, very different for you this time around. And I think that's the thing, that where you could have been triggered before, gotten angry, felt resentment, wanted to fly off with the FUs and all that, I think some of it's still there, right? But it talked about that reprogramming the brain, right? Reprogramming our habits. That's where you're catching yourself now. You're far more aware of what it was within you that felt broken or wasn't at peace. And you're learning to address things differently. Now, I'm not going to say, and go back to the message that Spirit had given me before I opened up the video, that there are still going to be challenges. And I do believe that that's going to be part of your challenge, is learning to actually master that, right? But you'll get there. For so long as you continue that little bit of progress, you will get there to master not reacting, but rather responding from a more compassionate place. Sometimes, Spirit just said, sometimes it's going to be just simple as you just getting up and walking away. No response sometimes is a response, Scorpio. You don't always have to have the last word. Just walk away. Everything. Truths, if you've dealt with lies, deceptions, cheaters, manipulators, It's always a matter of time that people see. The truth always reveals itself in due time. And I think that was also something that you had to learn, was to let go of the control of trying to show everybody, to prove something like you weren't being heard. You had to let go that it didn't matter. It didn't matter what other people thought. You had your vision. You knew what was going on. Your intuitive abilities were on point. You knew it all along. But it had to work out in a certain way. We talk about that karmic wheel. It had to work out a certain way. It had to play out a certain way. And in order for the universe and your guides to step in and allow it to work out that way for other reasons that you couldn't see at the time, you had to release control. Not always an easy thing for a Scorpio to do, right? But I think that there was a point where you started to really let that go. You haven't mastered it, but you're certainly working through it. And that's a great way to start off a new cycle, because you're now in a space where you're creating new karma. Is it going to be good or bad? It's up to you, right? Scorpio, my question to the universe, to spirit, was what comes for you, excuse me, moving forward as we move into this Aries Libra North and South node, the High Priestess of Spirit. You have gained so much spiritual enlightenment. I'm going to show you this card. She's absolutely beautiful. That pink and that purple operating from that space of love and hope. There's going to be, if you haven't already experienced this, and Spirit's giving this to me, and thank you again, Spirit. If you haven't already experienced this, it's coming. There is going to be something with this hope card and letting go, that it's going to restore your hope and faith in something, okay? Because again, I talked earlier about you had to let go of that control, right? And that has been the transformational energy there with those butterflies. But that hope is now, it's like you're seeing the forest. You know, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? You're starting to be much more aware of the things that are going on around you. Not that you weren't to begin with, but now there's a deeper understanding to that. And through that, it's like you've had to navigate that forest, right? You know, feeling lost, feeling stuck, feeling alone from time to time. But what that's brought you is spiritual enlightenment and awakening, right? Massive change, massive awakening through that. But now you see, you're starting to see the light on the other side. I talked about that sun. That moon also illuminates lies and deception. And with this High Priestess of Spirit, you put your faith in something greater than you. Maybe it didn't make sense. Maybe you still felt lost through it, but you put your faith in something greater than you. They're defending you. Spirit has defended you this entire time. You didn't have to defend yourself the way you thought you did. But now there's this massive spiritual shift for you that is an immense game changer. It's going to restore your hope and faith in things in ways that I don't think you thought it could. You may look back in 6 months, Scorpio, and just be like, how'd I do that? How did I get to feel so good? Don't self-sabotage it, though. Don't question it. Don't let those old triggers and traumas come up and take you for a ride again, right? Because you're starting this news cycle. You want to be in this news cycle. You want to feel good. All right, let's do some clarifying. Ooh, Scorpio. I just, all the times I've pulled this, or all the times I've used this deck and this card has come out every once in a while, I never realized there's these 4 faces that sit in the back side of this card. Can you see those? And there may be a male. There's a masculine, doesn't have to be a male, but masculine energy. You had to learn how to shut down the masculines in your life. And I think that this was brought to you by a masculine on the other side that's supporting you. So whether this is male or female, it really doesn't matter. But it was like they were pushing you. And I'm going to say the other 3 come across as very feminine energies. Scorpio, you're clearing out ancestral karma. That support or that protection, those feathers that cover the man and the time master. Same thing. Right now showing their faces. So you may start to get, Spirit is saying paying attention to your dreams, your psychic visions. You're becoming far more in tune with the other side. You're doing things that are opening you up, like where you were maybe fearful in the past. Those blockages are being removed, or you are removing them, or it's a mix of you and Spirit working on them together, right? But masculine energies in your life may have been a challenge over the last 18 months. Learning how to shut them down, even when it was hard, is what Spirit is saying. All right, let's go. Woo, too many cards. All right, the Time Master, please, Spirit. Okay, this Time Master, the Seven of Pentacles, the Father of Swords in the reverse. Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. Scorpio, I feel like part of that challenge that we talked about over this cycle was like you could never quite get there. Couldn't see. And I said, forest through the trees, couldn't see it. Like you put the work, and it's almost like Spirit is rewarding you or providing you with what, you always get what you give, right? It's almost like you've had to deal with these energies that surrounded you that were difficult. And I think sometimes, too, you were a bit narrow-minded in how you handled things. And that may have created challenges. You may have been willing to give more than you needed to give to certain people and or situations because you weren't willing to see how it wasn't working. You wanted to put your hope, your faith into people. Maybe, you've seen that little shimmer of something golden within them that, oh, hey, they have the potential to do X, Y, and Z. They just need to be loved right. They just need to be supported. They just need to be heard. But the thing about that, Scorpio, was it was never reciprocated. It was a falsified beginning every time. There was illusions around it. It was you giving more than you were ever receiving in return. And I feel like that, talk about feeling worn out, weathered. That's where that come from. You're putting everybody else ahead of you, Scorpio. And that's a problem. What is this lower world about for Scorpio? The need to find a new perspective. You think about bats. What do? They hang out in caves. They have to really look. Like, you've seen some of the darkest things in people, I think, that you ever could. You've seen how they could lie and manipulate, lie, steal, cheat. And it caused you so much anxiety, so much pain. And then self-created anxiety here, Scorpio, that you chose to deal with it. You chose to keep going with it. You chose to hang in there thinking that whatever it was that you were doing was somehow going to make a difference. You have to be very discerning of where you're putting that energy and attention into. And again, I think this was a very valuable lesson over this cycle for you. A lot of illusions, Scorps. A lot of illusions around you during that time. And then you start to transmute this pain, right? Wheel of Fortune comes out in the sideways position. I also think that you felt that there was going to be battles. There's that Five of Swords energy. Yippee skippy, right? Still, things are going to come with challenges, as I talked about earlier. But you're letting go. It's almost like that past person of you where you kind of step out and transcend that. It's healing the heartbreak. You're putting down the conflict. You're learning a whole new you. Or maybe, again, you would have fought back in an unhealthy sort of way. It's one thing to stand your ground. It's another one to increase the fighting by the way you respond to, or the way you react to things. But you've learned where it's almost like you're comparing how it was when you reacted a certain way and then how it was when you've responded a certain way. You're starting to really pick apart the contrast of the situations of the light and the dark. You've really sat in that dark energy, and now you're starting to sit into the light and understand that that feels much better than tangoing with the dark and not knowing what the hell's coming towards you. Very, very different types of energy. But you're cutting it off. You've cut off. It's almost like you've taken yourself and you've split yourself into two. Like your body is here, but your soul is elsewhere, because you're ready to transcend more. You're ready to step into the spiritual enlightenment. You're ready to work with spirit on a deeper level than you have in the past. It's a beautiful energy to be in, because you've gained wisdom through this cycle. You have come out leaps and bounds from where you were in the sense of understanding. And you're healing through it. The three of Swords in the reverse, you're healing this. You're healing the heartbreak and the pain. You're letting it go. You're learning to let go. This vision for Scorpio, please, Spirit. Whoops. King of Wands in the upright. Could be dealing with a Sag, Aries, or Leo. Hangman, Pisces, Wheel of Fortune, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. Could be dealing with a Libra, Gemini. Who am I forgetting? Oh my gosh, my brain just went blank. What does the matter with me? I don't even know. Moving on. I just had a moment. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Aries. I'm just going to say Aries again because that's what they keep putting back to me. So for Libra or Gemini, you could have been dealing with a Libra or Gemini and Spirit's giving me Aries. We're skipping the third air sign. So okay, that's what we're going with. It's almost like through this vision, Scorpio, you've become a much more assertive kind of person. Typically, the Page of Wands to me, I'm just not a fan of that card. It's just, as me as a reader, I don't like that card. But I also don't get this feeling of, it's almost like, how do I put this? And P.S. There's a snake on that card too. Right, Kim Kranz, Wild Animal. There's 2 snakes here. 3. Goodness. Anyhow, it's as if I would typically see this as slimy. It's just how I see this. I just don't like that card. But it's like you had to learn how to play the game. Hate to say it, but you did. You had to learn how to play the game to kind of get what you wanted to get to where you needed to go. It's like you almost had to match wits. You think about something, okay? Like, think of it in this way. And Scorpio, this video is turning out to be far longer than I anticipated. I'm trying to keep these guys at like a 25-minute marker, and we're double that time. But these are the messages, so we're putting those out there. Think about it in the sense that, say you tell the truth all the time, right? And you've got somebody who's manipulating you consistently. And you don't think like that. So it doesn't make sense, like, why are they doing these things? Why are they saying these things? Well, you had to learn how to think like they do, right? You had to learn how, if you're a person who just goes home every day and you don't steal and, don't do shady shit, you would never think about, like, how you could use a screwdriver to do, and I'm not telling people to do terrible things or offering advice on how to do it, for the record. But, like how you could pop open a lock with a screwdriver. You're just going to use a screwdriver for the purpose of what a screwdriver was intended, right? So it's almost like you had to think like maybe like a criminal would think, or a liar would think, or something to that effect, right? Where those things didn't resonate with you, but Scorpio, you are a master of all, or a jack of all trades, a master of none. So you can easily like morph into understanding different things, put it that way, okay? So it's like you go through this, but you had to learn when dealing with these people, the way they seen things, why they would behave. Again, talking about why they behave the way they do, why they feel the way they do. And sometimes I almost feel like you had to get a little, I don't want to call it a little dirty, but a little dirty to try to understand where they were coming from. And what's interesting, and Spirit just pointed this out to me, the difference between you and these people, or this person or this situation, was you would morph into doing what you needed to do. but it made you feel like shit. But then you did it just enough to understand what was going on the other side so that you could avoid it moving forward. Very interesting energy. You had to learn. You had to learn how to understand their perception. It's kind of sick in one way when you think about it, but yet, you know, got to figure things out. Second time Temperance has popped out, guys. Balancing your emotions, finding, again, that emotional balance. Learning to temper your anger, your frustration, your hurt, and your pain. That it's okay to feel again after this cycle. It's okay to feel. So what comes for Scorpio moving into the Aries and Libra spirit? Ace of Wands. I just heard you're heading towards victory and success, Scorpio. There's new inspiration. There's new focus. Some of you may be juggling finances right now as well, but they're starting to balance. Very important. So if you had money struggles over this cycle, they are starting to balance out as well. What else comes for the Aries, Libra? Something for Scorpio spirit. What else is coming? The Magician. Do not get in your head and think that you don't have the tools that you need, okay? That Magician in the reverse. It's almost like you guys are hesitant, kind of sitting with things. Don't sit too long. You think about your creative endeavors and then run with them. Same card come out on the bottom. Don't sit in that indecisive energy too long, okay? Because that's going to stifle you as well. So start this off. Don't be afraid of what feels right. Trust your intuition. Scorps, there you are. The Death card, the Fool in reverse. Don't hold yourself back, right? The Fool holding back, he doesn't experience the journey. You've put an end to this past one. You're closing this cycle out. Let it go. Let it go and be ready and prepared to move forward. And Spirit is saying it doesn't matter if you can't see how that works out. Trust it. You've spent the last 18 months trusting this. Trust it again. Hold on to your visions. Hold on to what is to come. I would say mind your money matters right now. There's a lot of pentacle energy here. Mind your money matters for right now. But also know, you know, that it's going to balance out. It may not happen, I think, the way that you think that it will. But it's like, your focus is now on your stability. You've handled the fuckery of what was going on with all these external avenues, these situations, these people. Everything was all about the external for you, Scorpio. It was like taking a broom and cleaning up your world, sweeping it up, going, okay, this is done. Oh, okay, this is done. Oh, okay, this is done. And now that you've kind of cleared up all the debris around you, now in the center of that is you. And your focus is on you. So it's your stability. It's tidying up your place. You may find yourself cleaning and doing things around your home right now. Looking at financial matters, how you're going to become more stable. You're doing the cleanup work of the results of all the shit that went on around you for so long. And that's okay. Because the thing of it is throughout all of this, you've gained immense wisdom to never let it happen again. You are not the same person. You're not at all who people thought you were. Their perception of you was really, really off. And I felt like you were fighting to find your voice to show the world who you were. Show the people in your life who you were, because they had a misconception of who you were. They were really, really confused. But it's like you're clearing it up for them, and they don't like it. I feel like you're gaining all new people, all new connections, moving through to this new cycle, right? Grab this book. So it's going to be a very different experience for you. Scorpio, Spirit is saying, job well done. Job well done, Scorps. You have achieved, completed, but not without scars, not without some bumps and bruises, not without tears. But you gotta let go of the fear of the unknown. You handle the unknown better than most. So, we talked about the telepathy and gamma. Okay. We're going to get a card from the White Light Oracle as advice as you move into the Aries and Libra shift here on the 16th, 17th. So for Scorpio, please, Spirit, what do they need to move? Oh, they're going to throw the whole deck at you, Scorps. What does Scorpio need to know? Scorpio need to know. They just keep throwing out a ton of these. Apparently, you need to pick up the whole deck and check it out. Scorpio, please, Spirit, what does Scorps need to know? Alright. Bear with me. Waiting for that one. There we go. We got one. And I know I'm not going to say this right. And there's that water energy, Scorpio, that seahorse. You're nurturing. Oh, God, you're nurturing. Relationships, I'm going to say this with mother and child. So whether you're the mother, whether you're the mother, Jesus, the mother with children, or you are thinking of your own maternal, familial line of grandmother, mother, whatever, I do feel that you're starting to nurture certain feminine aspects in your life with this Deer of Delta on the bottom. It's an 8. If you've had struggles and strifes with female energy, or feminine energy, I should say, in your life, you're starting to clear that up. Even if it doesn't come to a complete reconciliation, through the compassion that I talked about earlier, you're making peace with it. 5111 on the timer. There's a light at the end of the tunnel if you've gone through struggle when it comes to your children or your parents, your mother, maternal figures in your life. I know that I'm going to screw up how you say this, but I'm going to say it. Shaktapat of Seahorse, which is number 31. So 31 in PS, Scorpio. This card up here, the lower world, 31. 31. Again, could be very significant numbers for you. 31, 31. This is Scorpio. I was born on the 31st. Born on Halloween. So, surprise, surprise. Which is what that's about. Our 4s, our foundations, right? Scorpio, it's time to kick up your heels. It's time to create, feel good, dive into it. And I'm going to say this as well. And I think this might have come out in Taurus's video the other day, too, a little bit. Seahorses, they mate for life. They are loyal. They are dedicated. In reference to loving aspects, Scorps, and Taurus, if you're a cross watcher and you're watching this video, same can be said for Taurus. Or check out Taurus's video, I would say. Put it that way. The need to mate for life. Loyal, dedicated, working towards something that is tangible for you, Scorpio. Kick your heels up and find creative ways to do that. You're not willing to invest in anything anymore that is not for life. It's for good. It's solid. It's no bullshit, no mess. Recognizing the boundaries and grounding yourself to where you need to be. And if people and situations come along that meet you there, great. And if they don't, too bad. It's very important energy to have. Very beautiful energy to have. So, and again, Spirit's saying there's like waves around you that are supporting you in this. There's a frequency attached to that just empowers you to do you. So I love it, Scorps. All right. So 31, Shaktapat of Seahorse. As you embrace your inner essence, you will be at peace with who you are, including your vulnerability, and no longer see the need to conform to social ideals which have no true resonance for your heart. You are encouraged to trust your intuitive recognition of which environments and relationships harmonize well with you, supporting your spiritual growth and well-being on all levels. You have the innate capacity to manifest, relax, and you shall attract all that you need. If that paragraph doesn't sum up so much of what I already said to you guys. Volatile or over-restless seas compromise the well-being of the seahorse. Such intensity drains their energy, forcing them to go against their naturally gentle way of being. They thrive in environments that are calm and accommodate their slow, graceful movements. Rather than aggressively hunting, seahorses patiently wait until what they need comes their way and then actively receive it. Seahorse has a relationship of commensalism with seagrass and coral. I think I said that right. Commensalism is the medicine of connection, protection, and stabilization. In such a relationship, we receive what we need without being parasitic. We intelligently seek out sources that naturally support us rather than attempting to manipulate someone or something to be other than what it is. In the case of the seahorse, as it hides from predators in the seagrass and steadies itself on coral, neither seagrass nor coral are harmed. The symbiotic relationship of seahorse and its helpful friends reflect the supportive nature of the relationship between the soul and spirit. Spirit will provide whatever support the soul requires to thrive. In Greek myth, the seahorse is hippocampus, which translates as horse of the sea. Known both as steeds of the gods and as benevolent creatures who prevented sailors from drowning or becoming lost at sea, seahorses are symbols of protection. They are about outmaneuvering negative forces and bringing grace and peace. Seahorse is our guardian when we are going through challenging times, especially on an emotional level. Saktapot is a transmission of grace. It is the enlightening gift of energy that enables mystery. Shaktapot of Seahorse empowers us to instinctively seek environments that are conducive to our well-being rather than damaging ourselves by trying to adapt to external situations or societal values. It teaches that we are enough and we have the innate spiritual magnetism to attract what we need in our lives. We gravitate away from falsehoods and toward authentic being. Named for its seahorse-like shape, the hippocampus is the neural center in the human brain. It helps us navigate our way in the world and find where we can thrive and best avoid negative influences. Each seahorse has a unique coronet or crown on the top of its head. It is said that, like human fingerprints, no two are completely alike. This oracle assures you that the path and what supports you will be unique. If you attempt to fit into social constructs or cliques that don't reflect your essence, you will weaken yourself and become more susceptible to negativity. You are encouraged to consider what is natural and best for you, to be honest and authentic, even in your vulnerability. When you are in your authenticity, much power and grace shall rally to support you. The world can seem unfriendly or unsupportive at times, but this oracle reassures you that as you honor who you are, you will naturally find friends and attract supportive assistance to obtain all you need to thrive. I love it, Scorps. I love it. Fantastic stuff. All right, guys. I've ran this video way too long. But the messages are there. They're coming out, and here they are. And one more thing, because I just happened to notice this. I talked about that spiral, right? Check it out. There it is. There it is. Can't make it up. I cannot make it up. Scorpio, if you found this video resonated, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. Feel free to share the video with any of your friends. Find me on Facebook, Indigo Moon WV, Instagram as well, same thing. Check us out at holisticallyzenwv.com if you guys are interested in personal readings as well. Those are open back up. I've got time on my schedule to get some of those in, so please check out the description box below as well as the about section of the page for that email so that you can reach out to me, and I will be very happy to give you any guidance that Spirit deems necessary to help you on your journey. I'm wishing you guys so much love, so much light, so much happiness as you open up this new circle for you and all other signs as well, and the goal is to get a few more out. So Taurus and Scorpio, you two are the first ones because we're closing out your cycle and we're stepping into Aries and Libra, which those videos will be next. So you guys take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon, and I'm sending you tons of love. Bye-bye.